Hello, I was just watching. Paul Spadaforo has like a boxing gym or whatever in his garage apparently, and he trains people like people learn how to fight. I'm trying to ask him because there's a Pito Cardona involved with Wethersfield, and he's also involved with a whole bunch of people involved with the police chief Cintron. And others with the name Cintron with Sandy Hook campuses involved with child defenders, leaders of kids, and people with medical campuses at intercities, including Hartford Hospital as names involved. Hartford Hospital is an institute of living founded on the campus of Hartford Hospital in 1822. Now, these are people tactically delusions wrought and criminally foreign influence with psychiatry and psychology and people's names and their databases, all with the same house increasingly since I was a kid, too. And there were two retired police chiefs with the same house, and one's involved with them with conversations over the other houses, involved with predicate wire crimes with them, and with people from other countries and the differences of their countries. These are people on and off the campuses, intercities. When I was a kid, Central Connecticut, I'm in Wethersfield, Connecticut. Central Connecticut State University intelligence families affected confessions to me. Also, from strangers to make it look like we had a conversation then. That's one of the things they did leading up to the World Trade Center attack in that context and sense. I got diverted from getting that because they brought up their roles with untimely deaths with people involved with child abusers as leaders of the kids. They have this method of measuring and maintaining roles, needs, and natures that can be used to screen all kinds of abuses of all kinds of individual grouped and together, the ways that all these different countries are involved with our campuses together here and there. They also have off campuses locations with that. They have training and things like that that keeps them criminally foreign, used effectively to keep them criminally foreign influence and tactically delusions wrought black pupils. So there's a Johnny Duke with people like a Robert, Anthony Yagman, or not, what is his name? A Joe Aiello. A Joe Aiello has been planting evidences on my street with people that have been put involved with overt criminal enterprises and private ones with little grammar school kids and middle school kids. And I never had a class with Joe Aiello in my life. He's involved with the people with the wire crimes now, with the Wethersfield Police, who had roles with Hartford Police, Rocky Hill Police, Wethersfield Police, wire crimes through time. These are also people with the name O'Brien with Sandy Hook campuses. There's a Cintron that made confessions about his roles with a Pito Cardona. I never saw Pito Cardona around, to fight him back then. But I fought Paul Spadafora. He beat me in the 1995 in the Ohio State Fair Finals. Totally too fast for me to fight. I was, too green. And but day before was the fastest fight I ever seen. I've never seen a fight at that speed in my life on television or anywhere. I think it was from Kentucky. The guy he fought. But and I believe that who Mike Oliver fought Gary, I forgot his last name. He's a good fighter now, professional. Gary. Now Mike Oliver, there were murders that took place. There was a reported murder of a Greg Kyler. There were also confessions tied to that. A Greg Kyler was a fighter from one of the gyms, different gyms involved. And that was intercities. There were people making confessions to me who have ties to the street in Wethersfield. Before I lived near the schools, I lived near Trinity, and I lived near CCSU. Before I lived there were people planting evidences there with names near me, with the Wethersfield police chiefs. They're using their kids and their extended family members and people tied to them, attaching others to fake locations, fake ties to other people, fake natures of ties to other people. they take pictures of people around others that never even spoke. And sometimes, they make exceptions. They lie about. They use that to pretend that people are lying when we say we don't know people. And there are people I don't know at all, like completely, like a Joshua Julian. But that his name, I remember his name was repeated to me by a Ray Colon and by a Mark Violet, who have other family members, extended family members involved with them, foreign and domestic military, medical families, judges and prosecutors, family members involved with foreign and domestic military, overt criminal enterprises and private ones, and their teachers involved with conversations with them where they stick fake things and illusions, predicate acts rolls into database. A whole bunch of people at Central Connecticut State University when I was a kid, then as an adult. So before I went there, also the names next to the campuses have roles of people that used to live in my area with the same house who have wire crime action roles. So they have intelligence community and training of them at Weathersfield and Rocky Hill locations, in Hartford location, that's connected to Central Connecticut State University. Central Connecticut State University has and has had roles with Cubans and people from Mexico with psychiatry, with Americans, people from Canada with psychiatry, where they hide life progressions in college campuses. They run and hide life progressions. Their family members do. When people are forced for mental evaluation, for example, they make people fight verbally per this method of measuring and maintaining natures of logic that are going to leave out the breaching method, for example, as a scientific value with answers where and how to for the science of the breaching method. Other things, others, ourselves is measured and maintained, blamed where our founders and other countries' founders told them too to blame the breaching method. There's a human factor nature breaching method. See suits and ties, see counters to that. So Weathersfield police they switch names and forge names. They have people with the name Demaro and Kalala who also said that Scalora is their cousin. People with Scalora also have roles with Weathersfield police that are switching names and refusing to identify themselves, planting evidences on all sides of my houses and all sides of their houses, and then repeating lies to people and asking them questions about it. Also, they use investigators remotely. A whole bunch of people at Hartford Hospital have roles with ties to the same house, like with the name Cololo, and they have a Bob Chase with Whiting Forensics, increasingly involved with people like a Bob Chase said Phil Cololo. He confessed to Phil Cololo was to me. He never did. He lied for why you're not doing it. They brought up the name Christine to me. They didn't say the rest. They asked me what I thought about her, Christine, and didn't leave the rest of the name. There's more than one Christine involved with the names of. I caught them with a principal child defender, and using harassment to prevent me from responding with it. I didn't even get to even speak. They pretend they direct people to pretend they don't understand people. The guy made a whole bunch of different messages, completely different messages, making more and more confessions and demonstrations and bringing in more names. The principle being, there are more people that recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, have a, a Mr. Emmett, a Michael Emmett, as a superintendent of schools, and they have more family members of and as people involved with the policing of the schools. There are people with the name Dylan further involved with sexual and medical offenses of kids with overt criminal enterprises, and the former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, involved with the name Cololo too. And with my past neighbors, I don't know their names. They're switching names, Cleese and Lewis. And they're on Facebook too. And their roles with the people with the untimely deaths, planting evidences on Trinity College. Increasingly, people tied to a Joshua Stryker, planting fake ties You use a corner of a building one. In other words, and what I wrote about that on Facebook, the one time that I was called over to Eric Oliveri's house, he lied about what was actually recorded then. And in other words, I was never there before that, and they're lying about how why we thought about because he was already putting fake things in databases. These are people on increasingly with other names next to the state judicial branch offices involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders with them, federal evidences crimes. Increasingly trying to frame people for drugs and alcohol, as the people with Hartford Hospital involved with the same houses involved doing that. Ray Colo has been trying to frame me for drugs and alcohol since he was involved with, they were involved with criminal enterprises with their friends for their friends when they were in grammar school and then in middle school. I didn't have classes with him in middle school and grammar school. They made a fake exception to pretend I'm alive. They get caught by putting that middle school class. A Joe DeMoro, Heather Hansen, a Ray Clo have wire crimes, bill crimes. A Joe DeMoro, Heather Hansen have roles with home breaking years ago, and their roles with confessions tied to that. And they said they were stopped by police, and they said they were jogging at the corner of Weathersfield, at the corner of Fairlane Drive and Carriage Hill Drive. Who's also there's a house right there. Who was one of the a guy who said he was the he said to a speech class. He came in. I had no words with him. He said he was the partner, or he said he had family members that lived, mother and father that lived there, and that he was the partner of a Kevin Dillon, who was a detective at the time of Weathersfield Police, who's been involved with other police forms and child offenders. Increasingly, these people involved with this intercampuses, it also their roles with names on and off the state capitol. And three spots at the end of the Brown Turnpike has something to do with their roles, with connected by their roles being influenced to speak illusions tied to the ones being stacked in databases. These are courts, judges, and prosecutors refusing to pick one name and get on sequence and lying about their motivations for that as collusions with their kids, too, and their family members, with the schools and timed roles, with all kinds of nature's more abuses of the kids. How they have black, white women judges involved with KKK themed, Confederate flag themed abuses of kids, different ways. And with the names, increasingly, there's a Leahy family. A Leahy family pretended through the mail to my family that had conversations with me. These are people who've been pretending to my family that they had conversations with me since I was a kid, as their roles planting evidences with the ones tied to my neighbors, and their roles in wire crimes with the Weathersfield town offices and the intelligence community. Also, some Scalora people they said are their cousins are ones further involved with home break-ins in my area, and police forums involved with it, as ones timed roles with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, all along Weathersfield Avenue and Franklin Avenue. Um, the people involved. There's a Ray Cololo, and there are people tied to a Phil Cololo, his leasing agent, and their family. They have foreign and domestic military. They have racketeering with culture too. There are two Mendez police also involved with identity thefts and frauds, planting fake ties and fake natures of ties to me, federal evidences crimes with Weathersfield Police Department and with the Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts, also next to Fox Connecticut News, as names as confirmations and demonstrations of their roles of predicate acts with names who also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed them involved with them with predicate acts next to WFSB through time, as people who've been sticking fake things in databases behind people's backs, and as their roles with conversations with their teachers, including one who reportedly lives on Morgan Circle. And around the corner, there's a bolter and people tied to that who saw my name. In other words, they're planting evidences with people named Kerr near there who are further on digital crimes with the kids and planting evidences. There's a Jerry Kerr who said he's planting evidences, pretending that he was surveilling me with police surveillance equipment, and that he recorded me growing pot, which I was not growing. These are people that pretended I used drugs and alcohol that never did, because their roles with counters to that, like addiction specialists and judges and prosecutors and their family members involved at the same time, with a whole bunch of people involved with the same house near me, and names tied to them with their extended family members and shared ones, like Demoro Cololo. And there's people with the name O'Brien too. Their roles with New Britain Avenues in Hartford, how there are two of them next to each other, how there's one in Rocky Hill, has something to do. Names along there. That has something to do. These people are using others' names, using all locations /s criminally foreign. Increasingly, people in my sixth grade class are also involved with that corner with their confessions and roles with Russians with this and people with shipping names. Increasingly, like some judges, like a Judge Smith and a Judge Killian, and others I don't know the names of yet, and one switching and forging names roles, all of them roles, with the corners of the street, with the shipping locations, and the names associated with this Joshua Strike I never saw in the area, but there he was brought up by confessions, by people involved with the same house. Increasingly, on off the state corrections offices has roles with the confessions of people on all sides, including Saudis. They increasingly force Saudis to collusions with them. Ray Colo, Joe DeMoro, and Scaloras. I never saw Scalora near the state corrections offices, but they have roles with the state corrections offices, with locations, buildings, and people next to it who have roles with federal evidences, crimes, identity thefts, frauds with them. So you guys get them on paper. Middletown also has roles with these names, and a Jonathan Mayana who knows these names. Get the Wethersfield police onto paper. I want a response for the confessions. They put fake emails to hide this because they have the police chiefs. They have a Jessica Cintron involved with the confessions too of a Jonathan Mayano, and he's roles with sequence shifts, identity theft, frauds, slanders. He sought me out after my class graduated to confess this to me, and how and why I stayed back. That teacher has recorded roles with the people involved with the home break-ins, identity thefts, and frauds, and her roles with drugs and medicines crimes with kids and delusions. While they're all delusions raw too, they're putting people to fake conversations about religions too. These are people involved with the leaderships and kids as Afghan leaders and kids involved years before the World Trade Center attack on off Zion Street as roles with a whole bunch of people tied to the name Ray Kalo, and the people tied to him like Aiello, people with the name Eric Oliveri and tied to them. They've been planting evidences on off campuses, making fake exceptions of conversations with people. I mean, with real exceptions that are used to pretend things were recorded that weren't. This is awesome because they have other people doing this for them, so they can have people lie about what they feel and use truths when we have to use their names. That's why it's important to get them on paper. The former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, he's increasingly involved with people on all along Route 3 and its conjunctions, like those two Elm Streets. Let's go. Let's get them on paper, one name in sequence. Chop, chop. Get them on paper, please. Someone asked Paul Spatafore to get Pito or Cardona onto paper because the people with Sandy Hook campuses, some guy, they arrested me for harassment for simply calling back. The guy who kept putting all these fake things on my telephone the one who was proven a principal upskirt nature. Before that was proven, I caught him with worse natures of organized crime and child abuses with the kids, including with medical families and prosecutors and judges' kids involved with it. That's why you have to get them on campus because they're also ones personally involved with the doctors who pretend they had conversations with me and about criminal cases where they're involved with federal criminals before they are caught, and with former director of the FBI Roger Luskin. And they attached me to faked conversations about legal cases that they had federal roles with federal criminals in it, and they lied about the outcomes of those cases. Like an NLRB case, my father won a National Labor Relations Board case. Um, has roles with a whole bunch of federal criminals in that case, and tied to other cases involved with people with the locations tied to the names at Hartford Hospital, like this one, like the ones with the name Leahy and Lombardo. And ones I don't know the names of. We can figure them out though. The ones involved with the Parks and Recreation and Weathersfield town offices and probation officers in Hartford and Weathersfield and New Britain involved with child defenders and their roles together personally and professionally, criminally foreign influence. And that's being and having been used remotely. So get them on paper. There are three officers that used the name McGee on different arrests where they've been planting evidences. They have females with the name McGee too, involved with Rocky Hill campuses and with medicine corruption, with doctors attaching little kids to fake uh, locations and words and ties to themselves. God help the kids who they actually have conversations with. Now, these are judges also with their family members planting evidences on all sides of kids' houses where the interbranch families and the doctors tied to them, foreign and domestic, cover up lie progression and roles with areas of work criminal enterprises and private ones and body dumping spots brought in at the same time as we'll observe how intercity they affect the confessions to make it look more and more like I was tied to people. A whole bunch of police departments, plural, have personal and professional ties with a Ray Cololo and his father Ray Cololo. And people at CCSU, they influence the roles on Town Line Drive or Airport Road too, near there, with unions. There are unions also involved, used as criminal and seditious natures, rules with identity theft, fraud, slanders, criminally foreign influence uses of readings of statutes and exception nature simultaneously. So follow mandated law and get on paper with the interbranch names in the Weathersfield Police. One name in sequence. Let's go, chop chop. Say sorry to the kids too, and say sorry with the news. Have them fix the fake news, the fake conversations with me about the World Trade Center too. Our Scalora family is one of the ones involved with the wire crimes with the Weathersfield police chiefs with the house news near me. Fear, like Smith and Cololo. And don't pretend it's personal. You guys brought it up. They have people involved with them who confess them involved with this too. And with their patients, they run in. I don't know if they're pretended to be patients, but they have roles with doctors, with black KKK themed doctors playing games and fake conversations with me about religion too, and with these Leahy family and the others involved with planting evidences on all sides of my house since I was a kid. That never met me. That never had a conversation with me. Pretended others through mail too with transcripts. They should fear God not and say sorry to Judge Napolitano. And I shouldn't have to keep begging Judge Napolitano because Weatherfield police can't get on a name in one sequence. Fix the fake digital crimes too. Fear God for that. Say sorry to WTNH and or with them. Let's go. Fix that.